YouTube, let's talk about how to get these Zonaite Armor in Tears of the Kingdom. This is where you are going to want to start. We are going to be flying toward this platform over here. You can avoid the flux construct that is down here. We're just using this as a jumping off point to ride this pre-built machine. We're going to go ahead and build it. Maybe add some extra juice again. You may not need this if you have a ton of energy cells, but I don't have a ton, so I went ahead and added some. I do have decent energy though, compared to like an early game player. Just add as many as you feel necessary, and we're just gonna go ahead and fly over them. I will note we do want to aim for the lowest island, which is kind of the one straight in front of me. Of those three, you do want to aim for the lowest. I ended up aiming for the highest, thinking I could just skip some steps, which you can't do because you have to activate and examine something at the bottom. But the goal is to ultimately get in this Death Star looking ball. But in order to do this, you actually have to activate something in the bottom portion of the screen. I went for the top and ended up having to jump off, so save yourself the trouble and just start at the bottom and use the little catapult devices to launch yourself up here. It's very easy to do that, but save yourself the trouble of what I did right here. Once you have activated the little catapults, you will be able to stand on them. Again, this is where you should start. You can go ahead and pick up this shrine. Always good to pick up the shrine so you can come back and fast travel to them later to complete them. But you'll want to just catapult yourself or launch yourself, whatever you want to call it, up the different levels. Again, fairly easy to just stand on these, launch. This is low gravity, so make sure you don't put yourself too far. You will have to aim these as well toward the next island. It's not difficult, you just kind of spin these. Just make sure you aim it, otherwise again, you'll get launched into oblivion. And then what you're going to want to do is aim this and then put a block on it and shoot the block into the hole like I just did. Once you do that, follow the block into the hole and put the block on the switch. Next, you're going to want to climb up one of these little pillars that are kind of around. Use the send to get out of the Death Star ball. There will be a hole on the bottom side now, which you can, if you do it correctly, glide to. I, as you see, messed it up. So I just loaded back over to the island and then launched myself up and found the lower hole, which is where we will find the first piece of the Zonaite Armor. You can see as the Death Star spins, there's the hole we're aiming for. So you'll want to just glide, just float on into the hole. Good thing is you can climb on it, so if you're not great, like I am, happy player, you can just climb on up, and you can see the chest right here in the Now that we have the shin guards, we are going to be working towards the chest piece. You saw which tower we are launching ourselves out of. Again, this one actually isn't too terribly difficult to get to. On the initial, again, depending on how much stamina you have, you may need some stamina elixirs or meals that you can eat to help regen stam. As you can see, I don't have a ton. I think I have 3 additional stamina vessels, so not a ton, but if you're an early game player, this will be challenging unless you have a bunch of elixirs. We're just going to fly over to this little square looking island. Now, what we are going to do is put a bunch of rockets on these platforms. Now, when you do this, make sure you just set them there and do not attach them. If you attach them, this won't work. They'll all launch at the same time. We do have to get pretty high in the sky, so just set them on there. Do not attach them. Cannot emphasize that enough. I would also recommend putting them all on one side and then you standing on the other. That way you don't accidentally do what I did the first time, which was hit one and accidentally hit like 3 others. But you'll see what we're trying to do here. We're trying to just one by one launch ourselves as high in the sky as we can. And the goal is to get up to this, call it like a temple. It's kind of, you briefly saw it earlier, that structure that you just saw on the screen. We're trying to get as high up as we can, and well, it's a doozy to get up here. So we're just going to keep using one rocket at a time to get us up here. Again, you pretty much need all of them. You could use this last rocket to angle yourself toward it. I just went for height and then used my glider because I have the Rito ability. If you don't have the Rito ability, you could probably use the last one to angle yourself toward this. Again, you may need elixir. As you can see, even with my additional stamina, I was very, very close to not making this, so I do recommend having some of the elixir potions for stamina if you need them. Doesn't hurt to have them. I actually think I may have used one to get over here just as a precaution. But again, this is a pretty long flight to get over here. And as you can see, I do have some additional stamina, so make sure you account for that. Would hate to do all this work to get over here and not make it. Up here, you're going to run around. There's kind of a square little island, which is where we will activate the... We call it a temple. It's not a temple, but it's how we get to the chest. You do have to activate it. Activate the ring like you do on multiple things in Tears of the Kingdom. But it is a square part. You can examine it, and then it activates it. It turns on these fans, which you will use with your glider to go up and around. And once we make it to the top, we get to go Mission Impossible style and dodge some laser beams. So also to my right now, there's actually a 4-rock puzzle, so if you want that, grab that. I did it after I got the chest piece. As you can see, we're just going to float up and around as we do. Make sure you're staying in there. Keep an eye on your stamina. Again, I don't think it really would be an issue. You can always just stop on the side. But once you get up here, you can see we need to jump down into this big hole. If you have the glide suit, it's actually pretty nice because you can essentially stop in midair. The first time I did this, I went a little too fast. Got tripped, or it tripped it, so I just went back up to the top to reset. You don't actually have to go all the way to the top like I did. But as you can see, the glide suit lets you pretty much hover. I'm not sure other armor sets allow you to do that, but I do know the glide set does. So, pretty cool armor. It's actually really fun. Grab this shrine, so you can come back and do it later. Or if you do it now, go for it. However you want to do it. Next, you will need the Zonaite hydrant. So I used a Zonaite device that I just have. We have to turn this on. We have to get as close to this wall as possible. That is where we will ascend into this, and that is where the chest piece is. Pretty cool little spot, actually, for that to be. This is the third and final piece to the Zonaite Armor set. This is actually the most difficult piece. We do have to get a good ways into the air. This one's just tough because you just have to get so high up, but it is cool. Also, strongly recommend you have some cold resistance because you will want to use the 2 Zonaite pieces that you have just to conserve as much energy as possible. Again, I have a decent amount of energy, but having the armor does help. So you come over, you hit this balloon, you fly up as high as the balloon will take you, and we want to eventually land on those 3 islands that you saw. Those 3 that I'm looking at. We're headed that way. I do use, I believe it's 3 rockets that I use as Zonaite devices so we can push ourselves that way. You will also need the Zora chest piece because we are going to glide to a waterfall and use the waterfall to ascend up to the islands. And I use these rockets just to push myself that way to make the glide that much easier. if you glide, if you have a current movement stamina, you can do it. Rockets make it a little faster. Again, like we did previously, one at a time, just use it to boost yourself. You can actually see the waterfall off that left side island. You can see it. So as we get close, your platform will begin to disappear. Once it does that, you can go ahead and jump off, glide that way, flip the Zonaite Armor. Again, having the Rito ability is obviously super helpful. When doing this, anything in the sky is super helpful. We're just going to glide over to this waterfall, and as soon as we hit it, we'll obviously go straight up it, which is huge. And once we do that, we have to go to another island further up in the sky. There are fairies up here, so strongly recommend you grab the fairies if you can. Pretty easy to catch if you just creep up on them. We'll do this. Next up, there's some mine carts over here. You're going to want to put a mine cart on the tracks, and then 52 rockets in. You may not actually need both, so if you don't have a Zonaite fan, you can just use one rocket to get across. I put both rockets in here for a flying device that I'm going to make next. I did search around to see if there was a fan, couldn't find one, so I dropped one. I did my best to really hope there was one up here, but there wasn't. Maybe there's one for you. Highly doubt it. Go check though. So attach the fan to the back of the minecart. Make sure not to hit the rockets. And one across the track. Once we got up here, you will see that there is a bunch of fans and rockets. We're actually going to build a glider, which is sort of behind my character at the moment, just looking around and assessing all the different parts. We're going to use that ramp right there with the gliders to my left and launch ourselves way up in the air. Once we've assembled the rocket ship, we will see which island we are targeting. From here, we're going to actually get on another flying platform. We're actually, the island we want to end up on is the one that, on the map, we are just about under, but it is much further up in the air than this ship is able to take us. So we have to fly over here near this flux construct. If you want to fight it, go for it. I didn't. But if you want to, hey, go for it. They do drop some decent stuff. So once you're over here, there is another flying platform, which this one You really don't need to add anything. You can add the additional batteries just to make sure you get up there. If you have a lot of energy cells, probably not needed. But we are headed toward the island straight north of our current location, the largest one on the screen. I was looking around just trying to determine that that was the correct way. Initially, I actually flew to the island that is where my cursor is, but okay. So we attach a bunch of these as we need, and we can fly up to this larger island, which again, you should be able to get pretty close just with the 3 batteries lighting. But you'll have more than enough, and if you have energy cells, again, you'll be just fine on this one. I jumped off. It is low gravity, so you'll fly pretty well. Looks like there's a Korok puzzle there. I did not stop and solve it. You will need to come over here and activate this. Once you do that, you can see this giant mirror. Enter where the light is, and you're going to need to break some rocks. You can do that either with a sword, or if you have the Goron ability. Multiple ways to break rocks. I'm sure you're very accustomed to that. So break the rocks however you choose. Use bomb arrows. Whatever works best for you. Break these rocks, and then you will start making a puzzle with some mirrors that are in here. Once you get the hexagon to turn green, we're going to walk over to the hexagon and ascend right up where we will get the Zonaite helm, and that will be the complete armor set. If you found this video helpful, please drop a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel. I'd greatly appreciate it. Thanks for watching.